against South Oldham, and they fought hard to represent our school. Next Thursday is their next home game against Southern starting at 5:30. Wednesday, all three volleyball teams had blackout games versus North Bullitt. The Cougars lost in a very tight match, but JV did come out on top. Football. Tonight is the first home game of the season and is a whiteout. Make sure to come out and see our great football team kick off at 7:30. Next week, boys JV play Tuesday at 5:30, and freshmen play Thursday at 5:30. Both are against Southern and are at BC. This Saturday, our cross-country team has a meet called Run for the Gold. Good luck. On Solar Eclipse Day, the girls' golf team had a match against North Bullitt at Heritage Hill Golf Course. Brianna O'Keefe shot the best score of 52 for Bullitt Central. As well, the girls' golf team has the Two-County Cup against Nelson County, which continues on to Tuesday. Next Thursday, the girls have another match against Nelson County. On Monday, the boys' golf team plays against North Bullitt. On Wednesday, the girls' golf team played against Nelson County at Heritage Hill and lost, but are preparing for their next match on Monday and Tuesday. The boys' golf team also had a match at Heritage Hill, but sadly lost. Yesterday, the boys' soccer team had a game against Marion County High School and fought hard to be victorious. The girls' soccer team had a game on Wednesday, but was sadly canceled. They do have a game on Saturday, Monday, and Wednesday, which is the next home game that starts at 6. On Monday, the boys have a game at Southern High School, with the girls having a game at Moore. Tuesday, the boys' soccer team has a game against Walden County High School, and on Wednesday, the girls have a game against Pleasure Ridge. Lastly, the boys' soccer team has a game against Doss High School at home next Thursday starting at 7:30.
Today, I'm here to talk about something that's close to our history that defines us as a people, as a country. It's the Civil War and Confederate flags issue. Some see it as a symbol of racism and hate, while others see it as a symbol of Southern pride and has nothing to do with that. It's just to identify themselves. I and my cameraman have talked to a few people about this topic and asked about their opinions and asked them a few questions about flags.
Yes.
I do. I think probably the way I grew up, my culture that I grew up in is probably more Southern than Northern.
Yes. What is your opinion on the banning of flags?
To an extent, the people that don't know their history need to kind of catch up on that, but other than that, I don't really mind the banning. I still have mine, so I'm all happy.
See, I see flags as something that people interpret. I don't see it as a bad image or anything, so I don't think it should be banned at all.
Well, I think, the government has not banned American flag, or Confederate flags rather, so I think that's a little bit of a misconception. The banning that has taken place is like schools and other private businesses and entities and things like that, and I believe in the freedom of people to express themselves, but I also believe in the freedom to ban things on your property or at your place of business that you own. So I would say that I think that's mostly okay, and especially given the divisive nature of that.
Yeah.
I think that there's a slippery slope we go down when we start banning symbols. I think what we should do instead of banning flags is do better to educate why people that feel that the Confederate flag is a symbol of Southern pride and heritage, that is kind of antithetical to someone like me. My grandmother was born in Crystal Springs, Mississippi. My dad was born in Lynch, Kentucky. We're as Southern gets, but yet when I see a Confederate flag, that does not generate any sort of Southern pride for me, which I do have as a Southerner. What it does is it reminds me of the picture I have of my grandfather getting bit by an attack dog for trying to advocate for African American rights in the 1960s. There was a whole bunch of people behind him in that picture waving that flag, screaming at the top of their lungs, but I could only imagine were things he never wanted to repeat. I've seen Confederate flags. When I was a freshman in college, someone put a note under my dorm room door with a drawn Confederate flag on the top. It then quoted a scripture telling me that I was engaging in bestiality because I was dating a white girl. I saw a Confederate flag. I was dating a girl when I was about 20 from Rabbit Hash, Kentucky. I went to pick her up. Her dad met me at the door, raised his shirt, showed me his Southern pride tattoo, and said, "Get off of my front porch," with the word I'm not going to say here. I see them at the state fair a lot, usually with some looks of consternation and disgust pointed my way, considering my wife is white and we have interracial children. Unfortunately, as a black male in Kentucky, when I see it, it usually has a negative connotation, even though lots of people here don't seem to attest it to it.
Anywhere except like a professional public place, because it's, once again, it's not a race thing or anything. It's just a show pride.
In your home, you know, when I grew up as a little boy, I had a great big Confederate flag on my bedspread because I had a Dukes of Hazzard bedspread. And it was right on top of the coolest car, 1969 Dodge Charger. And I had no idea that that could offend anybody, but it certainly didn't offend me. And, you know, at that time in my life, I had no problem having it on my bed, and I think I had every right to do that.
Personally, not me. Like, I would never have, wear, carry, brandish, encourage the Confederate flag as a symbol. But like I said, museums, I think there's definitely a Civil War discussion. I think in a historical lens, we're doing education. But I think co-opting the symbol and making it mean something other than the flag of a group of people that rebelled against the United States because of their willingness or desire to continue having slaves. I think if we try to take that away, we've missed the whole point.
What do these flags and statues mean to you?
Well, the flag just represents the 13 Confederate states.
Once again, pride, just Southern pride.
Not much. I mean, like, I don't spend much time thinking about people's feelings on rebel flags or statues or anything like that. I bring it up in class a lot just because it's something that gets people talking and interested. But you know, I think relatively speaking, that's a insignificant part of our lives.
They mean divide, and I hate to say it that way, but I've been in Bullitt County as a teacher now for 4 years, and I know that the majority of the stuff that I was told about Bullitt County was not necessarily accurate. But I also know that the only way that those things are ever going to truly get eradicated is if we do not have this disconnect between people in their interpretation of a symbol like that. I always say to people, would you expect my grandfather, who grew up in Mississippi, to put that flag on anything he owned when he was alive and claim it under the banner of Southern pride? And the answer logically would be no, based on his experiences, so how could I ever do it?